Today's video, I want to take a look at some new information revealed by Naughty Dog about The Last of Us Part 2, specifically in regards to the game's size. Now we're getting a better idea as to how big this game exactly will be, and it will be pretty massive. Also, we'll talk a little bit about Red Dead Redemption 2, as Rockstar is 100% focused on Red Dead Online rather than any RDR2 single-player DLC, which might be seen as a little bit of a bummer to you guys. It is to me. So we'll talk about that, and also, DAYZ is making a big expansion as the DLC map in Livonia has been announced, and it's coming soon to all platforms. We'll talk that at the end of this video. First up, let's talk all about The Last of Us Part 2, as it's a game that so many of you guys have interest in, coming February 21st, and Naughty Dog has been revealing a lot about The Last of Us Part 2 in the last few days. Of course, with State of Play, we got its release date of February 21st, we got a trailer, we got some other information, but what's really making the rounds right now is the size of this game. While Last of Us Part 2 is not going to be a full-blown open world game, it is Naughty Dog's most ambitious project to date. And what does that really say? I mean, for any development studio, your latest game should be your most ambitious game. You should not be going backwards in game design. At least any motivated and ambitious game studio should be thinking that way, and that's definitely the case with The Last of Us Part 2, and it's a lot bigger than its predecessor. Naughty Dog's narrative lead in Hallie Gross, who previously worked on TV shows like HBO's Westworld and Amazon's Too Old to Die Young, revealed in a new video interview that it's about 50% bigger than the first game. It was noted the game I think we're saying is about 50% bigger, but it is massive, not just in length, but in like all of our levels are bigger and wider. We have more cinematics, we have more characters, we have more animations, we have larger melee systems. In every way, this game is bigger and better. To give you guys an idea, The Last of Us 1 was around a 12 to 15 hour experience. If you did rush through the game, you could probably complete it a little bit quicker, but for someone like myself that does play games at a little bit of a quicker pace, and I generally complete games a little bit quicker than most people, I still spent around 12 to 13 hours in the game, and that's because The Last of Us Part 1 was such an engrossing experience that I myself even found myself slowing down at times to take in the environment and all of those elements. I know that there's some iconic moments with that game. Don't want to go into any spoilers, but nonetheless, that game was marvelous, and with the game being 50% bigger than Last of Us Part 1, that would mean a 20 to 25 hour experience just about for the average playthrough, and that would be a rather lengthy game from Naughty Dog. I mean, Uncharted 4 was not that long at all, so even a 20-hour game, that would be pretty sizable for a game like The Last of Us Part 2, and it goes to show because the game will not have a traditional multiplayer component like Factions or Uncharted's multiplayer component. They are putting all their eggs into the single-player basket, which I think is for the best. This is a game that is built on its single-player foundation. Naughty Dog in general, while I've dug the multiplayer in Uncharted, I enjoyed the multiplayer in The Last of Us Part 1, the single-player is absolutely the standout, and if they felt that offering a quality, compelling single-player component was imperative and the most important element, then by all means do that, because I think that's why the majority of people are playing The Last of Us Part 2. Gross also added, quote, "I'm really proud of it. I think there's so many incredibly talented people at Naughty Dog, and every time I play, I discover something new. All of our setups are so big, so complicated, you can do so many different things. Each setup, like as I'm sure you guys saw in the suburbs, like you can come at the same setup and play it in so many different ways and get new reactions from your enemies, get new reactions from Ellie. I find it a great way to spend a workday." And lastly, speaking on the multiplayer, it was said, quote, "So because it turned out to be such a big and complex game, we decided to focus entirely on single player, so there will be no multiplayer for the last month or two. Unfortunately, but we still very much care deeply about our multiplayer team. They're incredible and they're smart and they're really talented. They've got big ideas, and Naughty Dog did note that they eventually want to realize their ultimate vision for multiplayer gaming. It just won't be in The Last of Us Part 2, and if they think they can offer us a much more compelling single player experience by foregoing on multiplayer, I am all for that." And the game is looking pretty massive in scale, so obviously a lot of reason to be excited about that. Okay, one game that does have a lot of focus in its multiplayer, and even so much so that any single-player DLC seems to have been ruled out, is Red Dead Redemption 2, as Rockstar is 100% focused on Red Dead Online rather than any RDR2 single-player DLC. Rockstar noted that they are not working on any Red Dead Redemption 2 single-player DLC, in case you were hoping for the opposite. Despite the lack of any single-player DLC for GTA 5, RDR1 did have a sizable expansion in Undead Nightmare. Many were expecting something similar for RDR2, but it looks like that's not going to happen. Katie Pico, lead online production associate at Rockstar, confirmed this to VG247, saying, "We're 100% focused on online right now because, like I said, there's just so much to do, and we're hoping to bring everything that a player can love about single player into the online world and flesh it out." Tara Kaman, online producer at Rockstar, added, quote, "We've said it before, but we all love single player games, and Red Dead Redemption 2's absolutely massive story and equally massive epilogue are are hopefully evidence of that. The team's ambitions for Red Dead Redemption 2 were sky high in every way, and when we are building worlds of that scale, the single player experience almost always leads the way. Our ambitions for our online games are just as high, and with Red Dead Online, we are continuing to build and expand to match the world we created for Red Dead Redemption 2 story, not just with the roles, but other activities, new random events, characters to meet, new ways to engage with the world and further inhabit your character, as well as trying to improve the overall experience. Now, that is going to be a little bit of a disappointment to a lot of people. However, I thought it was a formality that Rockstar was going to put a larger emphasis to their online gameplay, just because you look at how much obscene amounts of money they have made from Grand Theft Auto 5's online component. You know they want to replicate that with Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online. They want that residual, everlasting revenue to come in from microtransactions and all of those elements, and they want to establish that more than anything. Yes, the online component isn't the best right now, but I do think Red Dead Online could at some point be something compelling. They have stayed very committed to it, and we'll see if it does show any improvements. It would be one thing if Red Dead Redemption 2 didn't have a magnificent single-player component right out of the gate, but in my opinion, it is rather good. I know some people weren't as high on it as, say, I was. I thought Red Dead Redemption 2 was tremendous and one of my favorite games of 2018, maybe my favorite game of that entire year. I just thought it was really well done, and visually, technically, it was just a top-notch experience. But nonetheless, as far as RDR2 goes, it looks like Rockstar is 100% focused on Red Dead Online rather than creating more single-player content. And lastly, speaking of online gameplay, DAYZ is one of the most iconic online games of all time. I wouldn't say that iconic element of the game has really persisted all through these years, but nonetheless, it is available on the PlayStation 4, and developer Bohemia Interactive has announced DAYZ's downloadable content map in Livonia, and it is coming soon to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. An overview was posted on DAYZ.com, and it noted after 5 years in Chernarus, players will now be able to bring everything they learned in this new challenge. Based on the Arma 3 Contact expansions map, DAYZ's Livonia brings a world scarred by the consequences of the virus, with its large green areas, heavily forested zones, lakes, and rivers scattered across the land. Livonia is the perfect place to scavenge for resources, hunt for food, build your base, and scout for unwanted presences. But don't let the beautiful landscape of this new region fool you. There is a new predator roaming the forests of Livonia: bears. Bears will give you a hard time if you don't know how to deal with them. Do you have what it takes to survive this new threat? Livonia also features a lush of late summer with frequent rainfall and thunderstorms, so make sure to be properly geared and on the lookout for shelter at all times. Embrace this new challenge and prepare to get lost in the vast lands of Livonia, either together with your allies or alone as a lone wolf. See you in Livonia, survivors, how the statement rounds out. They did upload the DLC announcement trailer. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out and if this gets people to jump back into DAYZ. I necessarily don't think that'll be the case in a wide degree. However, DAYZ is gonna be one of those games that always has a decent bit of nostalgia attached to it, and whenever there's a significant update to it, I believe there's gonna be a pocket of people that just go back and do check out the game, and I think that's gonna be the case with DAYZ's upcoming DLC content. Again, this was one of the most iconic games on PC ever back when it was released as an Arma 2 expansion. A lot of people built gaming PCs just to play this game. It wasn't an expansion, rather it was a mod, and it single-handedly made Arma 2 jump up as one of the top sellers on Steam, and it was a consistent top seller for a very long time. Arma was always a major franchise, but at that point it doubly became that fact. And DAYZ, still a pretty intriguing experience, and it's getting brand new DLC and a whole new map in Livonia. And that's gonna conclude this video. Naughty Dog is saying that The Last of Us Part 2 is a massive game, but specifically it's about 50% bigger than the original game, and that might mean that the game will clock in at around 20 to 25 hours, which for a Naughty Dog single player experience, that is rather good. As far as single player goes in RDR2, it looks like the experience has been rounded out, and Rockstar is 100% focused on Red Dead Online rather than any RDR2 single-player DLC. Let's at the very least hope that Red Dead Online can develop into a compelling experience of its own right. And for those of you that are still into DAYZ, or you have some nostalgia attached to the game, know that it's getting some major DLC in a brand new map in Livonia based on Arma 3's Contact expansion. That's gonna be something to be on the lookout for. I don't know how well it's gonna turn out. I don't know if it's gonna get a lot of people re-enamored with DAYZ, but it is interesting. And considering that this game was a big part of my yesteryears as a gamer, it's something that I definitely personally have interest in. And that's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.